Welcome back to Primetime News and a special welcome once again to our viewers on onespotmedia.com. Up first this evening, despite objections from the opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has recommended a 3-year extension for the Director of Public Prosecutions DPP, Paula Llewellyn. The Prime Minister says the DPP has done a fairly good job and has described arguments from the opposition as curious and unfortunate. Andrea Chisholm reports.
News came on Tuesday that opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips did not want the tenure of DPP Paula Llewellyn to be extended. In his words, "I have the most strenuous objection." According to the Gleaner newspaper, that quote came from a section of a letter written by Dr. Phillips to the Governor General. The opposition leader also indicated in the letter that for the past 12 years, the office of the DPP has a poor track record in the prosecution of corruption cases. Mrs. Llewellyn was appointed in 2008.
It is unfortunate that this matter has reached into the public domain. It does add various levels of complications to the appointment. Having said that, and having reviewed and consulted, I have made a recommendation to His Excellency the Governor General for the extension of the service of the DPP for 3 years.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness added that Mrs. Llewellyn has strengthened the office of the DPP.
It was important to ensure that the office had enough time to prepare for transition and management, and I believe that the present DPP has done excellent work. Just looking at it from a public good point of view, I don't believe that any harm has been done, and I think that the expression of confidence in the work of the DPP will ensure that the public continues to be well served.
Under the Constitution, a DPP cannot serve after age 60 unless their tenure is extended, but it should not last for more than 5 years. Mrs. Llewellyn turns 60 in September. The Governor General may extend the period before the DPP turns 60, acting on the recommendation of the Prime Minister after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition. In the meantime, Mr. Holness made reference to other controversial points about the office of the DPP.
The issue raised by the Leader of the Opposition, which I found to be a very curious concern, that the DPP, that an incoming administration should not be in any way tied to the existing DPP. I wasn't convinced by that argument, which I found to actually undermine the Constitution and the authority of the office. And I've found that to be an unfortunate statement which was raised in the public domain.
Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
Welcome back. Continuing the news. The country has recorded 2 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, bringing the total cases to 753. One of the new cases is a tourist who has since been repatriated, while the other is a local. Now, the announcement comes as the health ministry said the local COVID-19 fight is in jeopardy as persons who test positive have been disobeying quarantine orders. The revelation was made at Thursday's special Joint Select Committee meeting on COVID-19.
You can't find them. And even when they know you're looking for them, they're dodging you as if this is a joke.
Chairman of the Joint Select Committee on COVID-19, Dr. Christopher Tufton, on persons who tested positive for COVID-19 but refused to follow protocol. It appears to be a recurring problem, as another committee member, Juliet Holness, had a similar situation in her constituency. She says the police and health officials went to a 9-night in her constituency over the weekend looking for a non-Jamaican who had tested positive, but he was not at home.
We located him long after we went to his home. He wasn't there. And then we went back to the setup, and he was very much at the setup. He's asymptomatic, he's not moving. He was at the funeral the following day. with a lot of persons.
Community spread has slowed in recent weeks, which prompted the government to begin reopening several sectors and increasing the limit on gatherings. However, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton warns that drastic measures will be taken.
The Prime Minister, myself and others have always said that the government will pull back on some of these measures, relaxation measures, if we do not act in a responsible way and there's any evidence or signs of an outbreak as a result of our behavior.
As for the individuals who insist on disobeying the measures, they say drastic action should and will be taken against them.
We are going to be vigilant in pursuing at least those who we can, given that we probably can't do it to all. And when we find them, we're going to have to take the strongest action to ensure that persons recognize that this is very serious. It is about protecting a country.
When people come from overseas, scorn them if necessary. If you realize that they should be quarantined and they are up and out, and they could tell me, he was at the gas station and I saw him with Master Joe, who is 80 years old, driving around in the car. And the guy was adamant, look, I don't have any symptoms and I am not moving. We need to take our health in our hands as well, because we cannot just depend on the state to enforce the law.
Dr. Tufton has also committed to increasing educational efforts for the public to get persons to obey the measures.
Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. Up first this evening, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips stopped short of calling Prime Minister Andrew Holness a liar today for statements made about extending the tenure of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. Now, responding to the opposition's objection to the extension yesterday, Mr. Holness described it as curious and unfortunate. Well, Dr. Phillips has hit back. Andrea Chisholm has more in this Primetime News follow-up.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips objected to Paula Llewellyn staying on as DPP, saying there's a poor track record in the prosecution of corruption cases. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness defended his recommendation, arguing that the DPP has done an excellent job. There was also this statement from the Prime Minister.
The issue raised by the leader of the opposition, which I found to be a very curious concern, that the DPP, that an incoming administration should not be in any way tied to the existing DPP. I wasn't convinced by that argument.
Not for the first time, the opposition leader is publicly contradicting the Prime Minister.
At no time did I say, as the Prime Minister stated, nor has anyone else speaking on my behalf said, that the appointment of a new Director of Public Prosecutions should be withheld in order to facilitate a new administration or any incoming government. Any suggestion in that regard is palpably false. That type of fabrication by the Prime Minister is totally unacceptable.
Dr. Phillips adds that a new administration would have no role in the appointment of a DPP, since it's the job of the Public Services Commission.
It is only extensions of the tenure of the Director of Public Prosecutions that require consultation between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. And in this instant case, that would have to be completed before September of this year, as there is no constitutional requirement that could enforce the calling of elections prior to September. Such was never a consideration.
The opposition leader says, in keeping with his constitutional duty, he confidentially communicated his view to the Prime Minister and Governor General. After the Prime Minister wrote to him on February 7 regarding the DPP, he replied on March 2. To date, Dr. Phillips said the Prime Minister has not responded. But after the Governor General communicated with him, Dr. Phillips communicated directly with the Prime Minister. Notwithstanding the objection, the Prime Minister recommended that the DPP's tenure be extended for 3 years. For the opposition leader, the extension was done in keeping with the Constitution, and the matter is settled. It's not the first time that the opposition leader has publicly accused the Prime Minister of publicly misrepresenting private discussions between them. In October 2019, Dr. Phillips took issue with Mr. Holness, who claimed the opposition leader agreed to increase the time period for which cabinet documents are blocked from the public. Dr. Phillips said those statements were untrue. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
Now, in the meantime, DPP Paula Llewellyn has explained why she wants her tenure extended, arguing that she's not hanging on to the job. She was speaking a short while ago on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines program, where she indicated that a major case with several co-accused is in the pipeline.
Did you hear me just say that we are about to embark? We are preparing a 50 accused matter. Do you know what is entailed in preparing a 50 accused matter?
So it was for continuity of the cases that are being worked on?
Well, not only that, there are certain administrations. We're having a massive renovation thing going on. We're doing unification, and we're doing several other administrative things. That, as one of my senior deputies said to me, Miss Llewellyn, give me your rhinoceros and alligator skin. It's better if you take all the battering. And I said, oh yes. And for my successor, they'll have a clean slate in place. But we do have a number of administrative things. But the continuity and the institutional knowledge. I am Queen's Counsel. I am one of the most experienced criminal commissioners in the Caribbean. I am admitted to practice in the Eastern Caribbean, and I am a communicator locally and internationally. Why would I be hanging on? That would be so unbecoming, really. But I am a loyal and committed public servant to the office of DP and, most importantly, my country.
In the meantime, the Police High Command is probing an incident involving a member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The policeman was found in a car loaded with gunmen in Clarendon early this morning. Now, 2 illegal guns were seized in the operation. Head of the Clarendon Police, Senior Superintendent Glenford Miller, told our news center that 3 other suspects have been taken into custody.
About 1:15 a.m. this morning, a team from Maypen was on patrol in the township of Maypen when they observed a vehicle along Muirhead Avenue. By virtue of the time frame, 1:15 a.m., this arose the officer's suspicion. The officers went, accosted the men, searched the vehicle, where 2 firearms were found and about 23 rounds of ammunition. After some investigation, it was borne out that one of the men who was held in the vehicle is a police officer assigned to the enhanced security measure in Denham Town.
SSP Miller, in the meantime, says investigators are trying to determine whether the men were involved in an earlier shooting in the parish.
In the night, there was a murder in Mocha Police area, Thompson Town. So we are not linking these men to that murder, but investigation will prove when the time is right.
Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. Jamaican students studying in the United States could be impacted by new directives issued today by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. It has announced that it will not allow foreign students to remain in the country if all of their classes are moved online in the fall semester because of the coronavirus crisis. ICE gave the updated guidelines in a statement. Debian Wright tells us more.
In its statement today, ICE said non-immigrant F1 and M1 students attending schools operating entirely online cannot take a full online course load and remain in the United States. F1 students pursue academic coursework and M1 students pursue vocational coursework. ICE says students in programs that are entirely online must depart the country or take other measures, such as transferring to a school with in-person instruction to remain in lawful status. Such students can also take medical leave to maintain their status. If not, they may face immigration consequences, including the initiation of removal proceedings. And it says the U.S. Department of State will not issue visas to students enrolled in schools or programs that are fully online for the fall semester, and Customs and Border Protection will not permit these students to enter the United States. ICE says schools should update their information in the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System within 10 days of the change if they begin the fall semester with in-person classes, but are later required to switch to online-only classes. They are also required to update the system if a non-immigrant student changes their course selections and as a result ends up taking an entirely online course load. Due to COVID-19, the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System instituted a temporary exemption regarding online courses for the spring and summer semesters. This policy permitted non-immigrant students to take more online courses than normally permitted by federal regulation.
The actions of at least 7 heavily armed gangs in Augustown, St. Andrew have contributed to the community now becoming a zone of special operations, ZOSO. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the declaration today at a special press briefing at Jamaica House. Andrea Chisholm was monitoring and now reports.
Augustown, a community with an august history, but one may argue it's notorious for crime.
The situation that faces us is that in a community of 4.7 square kilometers, there are no less than 7 heavily armed gangs who are engaged in active conflicts. These gangs disrupt the lives and livelihoods of the residents and hijack any social intervention process implemented within the community.
Additionally, the criminal activities of these gangs are not only restricted to the geographical boundaries of the community, but have negatively affected other areas.
Areas such as Papine and the wider St. Andrews Central Police Division. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson said crime is down in Augustown this year, but the area is populated with guns and ammunition.
Since the start of the year, 7 residents of the community have been murdered and a further 14 people have been shot and injured. All of the murders and shootings in Augustown have been attributed to gangs, and everyone who has been murdered in the community has died by the gun. In the 16 combined incidents of murder and shooting, over 100 spent casings or rounds from weapons, including rifles and shotguns, were recovered from the scenes.
No stranger to social intervention programs, Prime Minister Andrew Holness pointed to a 2017 study which showed that several persons were unemployed in the community and there was weak family and parental support. Through ZOSO, those social issues are expected to be addressed and residents should benefit from improved infrastructure. Boundaries will include sections of Goldsmith Villa, Mona Road, Hermitage Road, Bedward Gardens and River Bottom Road.
A number of gangsters are from the community and live among the residents. Even though they may leave from time to time, we know that there are witnesses who are afraid to say what they know. Therefore, we are creating an environment that will allow persons to come forward and tell what they know.
Head of the St. Andrews Central Police, Senior Superintendent Jacqueline Coombs, and Major Kevron Henry of the Jamaica Defence Force will be jointly in charge of